Welcome in, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As we return to what we've been doing for the past, where I gotta work on writing my actual intros because I have been all over the place lately. It's the same insanity I always gotta deal with. After all, that's what else is new. And yes, since we are continuing the Ace Attorney chapter here, yeah, she's here too. She's probably listening to me now and is already coming up with a bunch of insults. But hey, we're actually going to try and finish today's chapter today, which means we will be returning to the chaos, and tomorrow we're going to be doing some Friday night fights. And that'll be nice to do again.
Can you hurry this up? I got a country to take over.
All right. Yep, you hear her. I mean, I can keep stalling just to mess with her.
Or, hear me out, I can strangle you. Right now. And I think the chat will not mind.
All right. Let's get the game going, okay? Jesus, knowing her, she probably already has a bunch of ways to strangle me. And with that, we return to the Ace Investigations, which Jolene here acting as my assistant, which is going to be a lot of fun. Because, of course, she's going to find a new ways to basically mess with me. First thing first we got to do is figure out the new location, which was the room next door. What is this incredibly overpowered sweet scent?
It smells like flowers.
Uncle Bad, is that it? Is that Detective Bad and Kay over there?
It looks like she managed to escape the bailiff.
No, that's not quite it. Oh, too bad, but it's so pretty. I think you're still a bit too young to be wearing that. But since you found it, I guess I can let you keep it. Thanks, I'll treasure it always. You two seem to get along pretty well. Oh, here, I got something else for you. Yay, thanks, Uncle Bad. Earlier I ate one of these with Gummy. Gummy? Oh, you mean Gumshoe. Gummy is... Oof. He was trying to be nice to me because I was going to get in trouble. And then he got in trouble because he lied to protect me. Gummy. I know he didn't kill Daddy. Don't cry. Faraday would be sad if he saw you crying. I'm not crying. Okay. Oh, it's Mr. from before and the lady too. Don't you think it would be a good idea to go home for the time being?
You're not involved in the investigation. Or the best if you do.
Actually, I'm Uncle Bad's assistant. So I'm related to an investigation. Is that so, Detective Bad? Yeah, I guess.
You were just scolding us like kids to not mess up the crime scene. And now you let the child run free? Why?
People are free to investigate things outside the actual crime scene. You also had a few things you wanted to look into. Got a problem with that? I don't have a problem with that, but I'm as curious as what Miss Yu is looking into. Uncle Bad, I'm going to go look somewhere else now, okay? Alright, I'm counting on you. Oh, that's right. Hey, mister! Yeah, what is it? I know Gummy really isn't the bad guy, I mean it. So please, find a real bad guy, okay? I won't forgive whoever did this. But in the absence of the perfect piece of testimony and evidence, there is no one else who could be the true culprit other than Detective Gumshoe. She wandered off while I was pondering. Huh. Alright, let's talk to this guy. Detective Bad, what exactly was Kay searching for? Nothing that concerns you, boy.
Oh? And I suppose it has something to do with Kate?
It does, because she's Faraday's daughter. Anyway, hurry up and get to the point. I don't have time to waste. Sounds like he'd rather be left alone. I have something that I'd like to confirm with you once again. I don't have anything to say to you. Be that as it may, we still have questions that we need answers to. Now then, first of all, what is the overpowering smell that's permeating this room? Upon entering this room, I thought I was going to suffocate. It's the ultra-strong perfume Yu wears. She spilled some of it. I was having a bad time of it myself. I didn't think twice and opened the window, but that smell's still here. Perfume, huh? Sweet smell in the air is perfume.
Well, it's giving quite stench. And that is a cheap no-name brand.
She said it's a famous brand from overseas.
It's a knockoff. Yes, definitely a knockoff.
No disrespect, but she forced one of those bottles on me. Here, little girl, you can have it.
I was brought for a much more expensive or refined perfume. However, seeing you just happen to have a spare, I suppose I'll take it. Miles Edgeworth, you'll hold on to this powder without fail.
Ay. Man, I feel you, Edgeworth, because I got a certain somebody here who does this shit to me.
I know you ain't talking about me.
Actually, no, I'm actually thinking about somebody else.
Now this is what I hear.
You don't really have to worry about it, just a friend of mine.
You and friends? I had a chance of believing you played a Zelda game.
About that.
Oh my god, you played a Zelda game. What happened to Mr. I really hate any game that has chosen ones?
Look, to be fair with that Zelda game, you were playing as Zelda, not Link, so you weren't really the chosen one.
What does this word say? Something to doubt? Press the button to doubt? Well, that's what I'm doing right now.
I mean it. I seriously mean it. You were just playing as Zelda.
I doubt it. I'm pretty sure I doubt it. And I'm pretty sure you're lying. Because you're terrible at lying.
Think of it what you will. But, at the very least, we can at least use this as some evidence, I hope. It's not a perfume that Miss Yu's wears, just fantastic. Is that all you want to talk about? If so, I'm going back to investigating. Actually, I still have a few other things I wish to inquire about. What did happen during recess? So you weren't in the room the entire recess? Like I said, I made a call to the precinct to get that big lug down here. But other than that, I was waiting for the recess to end in here.
At least your story's consistent.
Earlier, you stated that you were in this lobby with Miss Yu. Yeah, I ran into her in the hallway. She said she wanted to talk to me about something, so we came in here. Then what did you say? Then what you're saying is that until Detective Gumshoe's arrival, you and Miss Yu were in two different locations? Guess I am. Interesting. And Amatron gets here with the first. Which means he won a prize, I think. What does he win?
Me not taking over his country.
I said a prize, not something you're not going to do out of laziness anyway.
Fine. I guess as Empress of One Dimension, he is now, what is it like again?
Anything purple. Like, literally anything purple.
Okay, this is easy. Because you received the title on first, you will now be trying clone the first leg of purple. Yeah, that's what you're now.
So now, Amatron, you just earned the title of Lord of Purple. That's a new one. I wouldn't... Yeah, Jolene's an empress, but she's not exactly the best in creative titles.
Yeah, fuck off. I can do better than your ideas. I mean, seriously. Who the fuck would fall for that Ligma joke?
Someone actually did. Oh, don't worry about it. You didn't miss anything important. Ugh. Let's see. Miss Yu is the sister of the victim of the KG8 incident, and as I recall, Detective Bad was the lead detective of that case. I wonder if the reason for her disdain isn't simply because you failed to guard CC, but because you were the lead detective on that case. You knew? I also know that today's trial involving the embassy staff member is being referred to as the second KG8 incident. No, detective, I believe it's time you were honest with me. It told me to the truth behind your relationship with Miss Yu and Mr. Faraday in the KG8 incident. If you already know that much, I guess I'd be alright to tell you. Oop. Now then, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the incident. It's not exactly a happy story. Other than the people who were directly involved, you two will be the first to hear what I'm about to tell you. The honest truth behind the KG8 incident. Faraday, you and I, as you already know, we three involved with the KG8 incident. Faraday and I were originally on the trail of the smuggling ring. You mean the smuggling case involving one of the Amano Group's secretaries? The trial was just a front.
A facade?
Yeah, but the case became tainted. All because the witness who was going to testify about the Amano Group trials to the smuggling ring, CCU, was killed. Then what became of the secretary who was arrested? His name was Colin Devora. To be honest, that guy didn't know a thing about the smuggling ring. But he confessed to knowing about it anyway. Devora was probably being intimidated by the big boss man, just another scapegoat. The boss man of the Amano Group? You can't seriously mean Mr. Ernest Amano. That can't be right. It's probably just Detective Bad's personal hypothesis. What is he trying to do, suspecting Mr. Amano of being involved?
I suppose it would have been quite difficult to secure an acquittal after he confessed. But the man who killed CCU, Manny Coakin, was a completely different person. But, since he's already been acquitted once for her murder, Mr. Faraday, you let him go.
If I remember correctly, I hear that Mr. Faraday had an important piece of evidence stolen from. That wasn't Faraday's fault. It was mine. I wasn't vigilant enough. Faraday, CC, I was supposed to protect them both. Yes, you did mention that as well. About how Detective Bad was supposed to guard her sister. But even I, who was supposed to protect them, I fell into their trap.
What kind of trap?
The holes in his jacket are a testament to that trap. You mean you were fired upon?
You were shot at that many times in one gunfight?
No. Only about half of these are from that case. But the reason I continue to wear this jacket is to remind myself of the lessons I learned from the KG-8 incident. I see. I couldn't protect CCU, and the suspect was found not guilty. We had hit a brick wall as far as the law was concerned. And that's when she came to the courtroom, the victim's sister. That's when I first met Callister Yu. And when you first met Miss Yu, it was on the day of the verdict of the KG-8 incident that was handed down, was it not? Yeah, Faraday and I, we apologized to her from the bottom of our hearts. It was all we could do. But just saying you're sorry won't bring my sister back, she said. And then she gave me a hard slap across the face.
Well, she certainly had a lot of self-control to stop at a slap. If it was me, not even 100 lashes would have been punishment enough.
I suppose not. You said it herself, that she never wanted to see either one of us again. But after that, you've seen her many times over, correct? Yeah, Faraday and I, even after the KG-8 incident, had to come to a close. We continued to hunt down the smuggling ring and got involved in a variety of cases. But it was no use. We cracked so many different cases, but the result was always the same. We couldn't find the real mastermind behind the ring. Is this ring really that big? It was in the pursuit of the ring that we met you once again. It was during another trial related to the smuggling ring. Faraday was the prosecutor and I was the lead detective. Took to the witness stand. She was appeared out of the blue as the defense attorney. Her client was related to the smuggling ring and she was defending them? Yeah. You was pursuing the ring as best as she could as a lawyer. I think she defended Rel this time for the same reason. Come to think of it, Miss Yu did say something to the same effect. I have my own agenda. I'm still on the hunt for the leads regarding the KG-8 incident, alright? And for that, you have no single qualm about defending a known killer? Don't put words in my mouth. I said no such thing. The only way I had to get close to Mr. Rel was to be his lawyer. I had no intention of covering for him. Ever. So don't you dare suggest what I was going to.
It doesn't matter what the reason is. That criminal is despicable.
You're so naive, little girl. I could have stolen this lollipop from you. That's how naive you are.
How dare you insult the daughter of Von Karma?
Just like us, you felt that she had hit the limit of what the law can do. That's all. The law is merely a tool. There's no limit to it. Only the skill of the craftsman. You two are still too young, but one day you'll know what I mean. But enough sidetracking. What matters is that we meet you again in pursuit of the smuggling ring. That's all. And for the last one, we gotta do Faraday. So what was your relationship with Mr. Faraday? You even seem to know Kay fairly well. I met him when he was a rookie prosecutor. Known him ever since. And Kay? I've known her since the day she was born. Faraday and I, we cracked quite a few cases together. But you two seem to have made no progress at the Yatagarasu case.
Did we touch a nerve?
I have only one thing to say to you. No one knew more about the Yatagarasu than me and Faraday. That's why I was called upon to testify in today's trial. To prove that Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Which I would have done if believe he had to turn around and accuse Faraday. After the accusation, I was asked to testify, but this time, to prove or disprove the accusation. But I guess I won't be doing that either. I sense that there's more to the statement than meets the eye. Perhaps a bit more digging into Yazura is what's necessary. You claim to know much about the Yazura. Would you care to share what you know with me? What you two should be looking for right now is proof of murderous intent towards Faraday and Rel. I agree, which is exactly why I'm asking you about the Yazura. What? The KG8 incident and the second KG8 incident? Both of these cases are tied to the smuggling ring. And in both of these cases, the witness who was about to testify about the ring was murder. However, there is one point in which they differ, and that is the presence or absence of the great thief. Mr. Rel claimed to be the Yazura. However, in the middle of the trial, he suddenly declared Mr. Faraday to be the real Yazura. During the recess, they were both killed. Don't you find that a bit least odd?
Miles Edward, stop beating around the bush and just spit it out already.
I believe that there must be a reason for that. The two men suspected of being the Yazura were both killed at the same time. A reason, huh? And so, in order to catch Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel's cold-blooded killer, I feel that I need to learn as much as possible of the Yazura. If it will help you solve this case, then I'll tell you. I'll tell you the reason why we never caught the Yazura.
What was that sudden outburst? You almost made me whip you by accident.
It still accidentally whipped me anyway. There are three main reasons why the Yazura will always be one step ahead. First, the Yazura always knows the exact location of the object. Second, the Yazura always know exactly how to disarm the security system. And third, the Yazura doesn't leave a single shred of evidence behind, ever. I see, so those are the Yazura's special traits.
Sounds like an incredibly elusive thief to me.
The Yazura has never been caught on tape, never tries to draw anyone's attention, and would never do something as lowbrow as commit murder. That's how I knew that Rel wasn't the real Yazura right away.
But you can't use that sort of logic on its own to prove that he wasn't.
Listen, little girl, I'm not done talking yet. What's different about this time was that the evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police, and the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the embassy, the Yazura. The Yazura sent the evidence? Until now, the Yazura would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others knew about. In that case, how can you be so sure that it was the Yazura who sent it? That's easy. A special card that only the Yazura uses was attached. That's how I knew I could be sure. And just what sort of card is it? Here, take a look at this article. Whenever the Yazura wants to publicize something, a white card is sent along with the stolen information. But when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was. That's how Detective Bat knew Mr. Rel was a phony. Thank you very much. I have much of a better understanding of the Yazura now. Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes? His Honor would like to transfer the evidence from today's trial over to you. So if you could please head over to the courtroom, it'd be much appreciated, sir. Understood. I'll be over there shortly. Detective Bat, what does the law mean to you? Finding the answer to the question that is the only reason I'm still alive. became a prosecutor to find the answer to that question myself. And to play a part in ensuring that all criminals everywhere are found guilty. Oh. It's you, Mr. Edgeworth. It appears that his honor is still a bit dispirited. For the first time today, I experienced what it was like to stand at the witness stand. I now have a greater appreciation for just how hard it is to give testimony.
Well, there's no reason for you to be depressed about it. What was that? As a judge, no one expects you to think about anything other than the verdict.
Francesca, there is no need to further depress his honor.
But I'm not trying to, Mile.
Your honor? Your honor, I come to collect the evidence that was to be transferred to me. Your honor, the evidence? Your honor! Oh, yes, how can I help you? I'd like to collect the evidence now, sir.
Your honor, do you think you can stay focused long enough to at least do your job?
Yes, I'm sorry. And I would accept that the defense attorney has yet to arrive. She's busy with the investigation. So let's keep this brief, shall we? Very well. In that case, please confirm that all the pieces of evidence are present. Furthermore, the evidence that was used in the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell are also included, so please go ahead and use them in your investigation to this case. Understood, Your Honor. Pieces of evidence that were used in the murder of those two men. This could be a very good chance for me to find a new lead regarding their case. And maybe even something that will finally lead me to the truth. I placed all the evidence over at the prosecutor's bench for you. I see. Thank you very much. I will go and confirm that they're all accounted for. Is someone popping in and out? That's a legit question. Maybe I'm losing connection or something. Maybe it's like that. I don't know. Maybe it's like some crazy... Yeah, maybe I'm just going crazy. So this is the evidence related to the Copenhagen Embassy trial from Mr. Faraday's bag.
You mean the evidence bag that was on the table in lobby number 2?
Yes, finally, we can take a look at the evidence and not just the date about it. Let's be sure to thoroughly examine what we have at the time.
Agreed. I want to take a good look at all the evidence for the embassy murder myself.
And why is that?
Because I still don't fully understand what today's trial was about.
Don't point your crop at me just because you don't know something.
And don't you try to order me around just because Papa chose you today.
I see someone is still sore about not being picked by Mr. Von Karma. It's also real to see the knife up close. So we have a knife. the gun, the envelope, and what's the organizer doing here? Oh, that's right, I completely forgot to tell you. About what, Your Honor? They found Mr. Faraday's personal organizer inside the evidence bag of his. Detective Bad requested it be passed along to you. He said it would help the investigation. Detective Bad said that?
What a strange stroke of luck.
Well, never look a gift horse in the mouth. We might as well flip through it, too. Don't rest until I see every single piece of evidence. Alright, let's start with the damn organizer itself. Faraday's organizer, it appears that he was in the habit of using it.
It seemed like you'd look a strategy to get a Mr. Rao convicted and down in here.
I collected the evidence I need to prove Rao was the killer between the handgun Rao has on him when he was arrested and the surveillance tape. I should be able to prove that he was the one. It appears that Mr. Faraday honestly believed that Mr. Rao was the killer in this case. It would appear that he had proof that Mr. Rao was not the Yatagarasu. And apparently he also had a very definitive piece of evidence. Yes, I believe Mr. Faraday was well prepared to discredit any claim Rao may have made about being the real Yatagarasu.
And he had a way to prove that Mr. Rao was the guilty party in the murder.
The organizer is a clue straight from Mr. Faraday. I'll have to take my time and give it a thorough read later.
Look, there's a picture stuck between the pages here.
It appears to be a key.
And a rather ornate one at that. Just look at the design of that handle.
The craftsmanship is superb. Could this be the Yatagarasu key Mr. Faraday mentioned in the organizer?
The Yatagarasu's key?
Detective Bad did say something earlier about that. What's different this time was the evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the embassy. The Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu sent the evidence? Until now, the Yatagarasu, who always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others knew about.
Mr. Faraday must have been trying to keep the secret keys safe.
And a prosecutor on both the Yatagarasu and the smuggling cases, that's to be expected. That's the knife. That's the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday.
Who would have thought that's such a beautiful piece of art? Could be used as a full rack.
And it never crossed your mind that you use your riding crop for the wrong purposes? That's odd.
What is it?
Mr. Faraday didn't mention anything about a knife in his organizer.
That certainly is odd.
The weapon that was used to kill the embassy staff was the gun. But if that's the case, then where did the knife come used in mass murder? Where used to murder Mr. Faraday come from?
Isn't it obvious? It was brought to the courthouse by Mr. Rowe. That's the only logical conclusion, right?
No, because it's not that easy to smuggle a weapon like that in here. Every person who enters the courthouse is checked thoroughly for contraband. Furthermore, the suspect was handcuffed, making it impossible for him to bring a knife as large as that inside.
In that case, how do you suppose the knife ended up inside the courthouse?
I need to think carefully here. There is nothing related to the knife written anywhere in the organizer. However, it is a fact that the knife came from Faraday's evidence bag. Conversely, there's only one item listed in the organizer that no one has claimed to have seen today. In order to solve this mystery, I believe I will need to take another good look at the evidence.
Mazadruf, can't you suspect that you have no answer yet? Doesn't mean that you don't have an answer for me.
Actually, I do know the answer, Francesca.
What? Then what is it?
One piece of evidence we've been holding has been hiding a secret of its own. And it was through this piece of evidence that the knife was brought into the courthouse.
Take that!
The Yazura key Mr. Faraday mentions in the organizer is how the knife was brought into the courthouse.
You're not making any sense, Maja.
You just need to look a bit closer, Francesca, to see what I mean. Don't the color or the ornamentation of the key handle remind you of anything?
They do remind me of the knife.
Very good. Both the Yazura key in this photo and the murderous knife have the very unique design on their handles. Furthermore, even though Mr. Faraday mentioned the Yazura key, the only object we found at the crime scene was the knife.
You don't seriously mean...
It appears that you finally caught on. And yes, I do mean to say that the two pieces are in fact one and the same.
That's impossible.
Even if that is what you believe, we should still investigate the possibility. Now let us examine the knife in a little more detail. This is the weapon that was used to kill Mr. Faraday. The handle and the blade itself both have beautiful design worked into them.
Look, there's even a little flower shape in the gold section here. That having used it as a tool for murder, I bought it for myself.
She seems to be drawn to the embellishments. Too bad this isn't mine to give. Which means I gotta look around and see if I can... Ah! What do we got here? Bingo! The key, like you said.
I can't believe it turned into a key. To think there was such a trick to this thing.
So the weapon that was used to kill Mr. Faraday is actually the key to the Yazura tool. Piece of information is critical of anything we've learned up to now.
Frankly, I'm shocked.
Mr. Faraday only mentioned the key aspect of this part of the evidence in the organizer. It's possible that even he had no idea the key was a knife and the blade.
But if that's true, then only someone who knew about the key to the knife trick could have killed Mr. Faraday.
Even among law enforcement, this key was top secret. We're looking for somebody who knew even more about the key than even Mr. Faraday. Meaning that the only person it could have been is the one who sent the key in the first place. The great thief Yazura.
maybe Mr. Rail really was the Yazura. And he was the one who killed Mr. Faraday. Isn't that one possible scenario?
No, not really, especially since Mr. Faraday was absolutely convinced that Mr. Rail was not the Yazura. Besides, as Detective Bad said earlier, but when we questioned Rail about what was sent alongside the white card, Rail had no idea what it was.
I see. Alright then. I guess the person who knows the trick behind the key is someone else. And that person is the real Yazura.
It seems that this key is truly the key to solving this case. Alright, so I looked at that, The gun's next. This gun, it was originally used to kill the embassy staff member. When a crime was reported, the responding police found Mr. Rail still holding it and led to his immediate arrest.
And then, this gun took the original shooter's wife. How ironic.
Indeed. There doesn't seem to be anything else we can learn from this piece of evidence, but we should take a look at this folder. I took a quick look through these documents before the trial started.
Well, I wasn't even afforded the opportunity to skim on it.
I suppose I should explain it to you then.
Yes, you should. Perfectly in its entirety, if you please.
On the night of September 8th, an embassy staff member was killed in front of the embassy. The staff member died of shock due to being shot in the heart. Macro was brought in that night as a suspect and thoroughly questioned, because the murder weapon was found on him, for which he was arrested on the spot.
A simpleton of a man. That's what he was.
Perhaps he was, for the weapon wasn't the only incriminating evidence he had. Mr. Rail was caught in the act and filmed by a security camera.
He was a bigger simpleton than I thought. I can't believe he didn't notice the security camera.
The embassy's security system is supposedly very well designed. He may have simply not been aware that there was a camera in the area.
So, have you seen the contents of the video for yourself?
Yes, the surveillance video that the camera took was played during the trial by Mr. Faraday. You can clearly identify Mr. Rail on it, even the sound of the gunshot was crystal clear.
So the footage included sound, huh? I don't think I ever want to see the moment of someone's death in real life.
Me neither. That's odd. We're short one piece of evidence. And that piece of evidence is missing in the surveillance video that was played in the courtroom.
The surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go?
The video showing the moment in Mr. Rail committed the murder, where it could have gone indeed. Are you done with your inspection of evidence? Yes, I'm finished. However, Your Honor, I am missing a single piece of prosecutorial evidence. Your Honor, where did you dare... Were you there... Oh.
Your Honor? Now look again, please.
What? No, I dare not lick my duties. What do you take me for? No, Your Honor. The most important piece of evidence in today's trial, the surveillance video, is not amongst the evidence you laid out for me. But I brought Mr. Faraday's whole bag with me from the crime scene. Maybe the tape is still somewhere in the crime scene? There's something wrong here. Something about the missing piece of evidence. It would appear that for me to find the answers, I see, I will have to pay another visit to the scene of the crime. Hey, it's that wolf boy from the from the other chapter. That's Detective Bad, but who is he with?
I've never seen an officer before.
So, did you find it? No, not yet. And I've looked everywhere. I see. Well then, please continue with the search. Understood. I'll continue the search. Heh. So you're the one running the show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't be allowed to be at crime scenes. How dare you! Just who do you think you are? Jackass. What was that all about? And who was that man just now?
Whoever he was, I've never seen a more impudent officer in my life.
Does he even know that we're standing right here behind him? I know you're standing right behind me. What do you want, kids?
It looks like you weren't paying attention after all.
Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head. So that mirror isn't for vanity's sake. It's for him to keep eye on whoever it was behind him at all times. So tell me, Detective Bad, who was the rude man just now? The guy came here from the Republic of Jingfa to study. He's Agent Lang. He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honor of his family. He's traveling the world to study different philosophies to detainment from scratch. By visiting various police departments around the world, I see a lot of dedication. He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. The guy's more useful than Gumshoe, even if he is rude.
He sure has a lot of cuts to come to the country and give prosecutors a hard time.
I agree. However, I can think of one young lady that statement applies to. Anyway, who's the agent looking for, Detective Bad?
Earlier, that little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well.
Like I said it before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you. I highly doubt it. It has nothing to do with me. Fine, this is the game I must play, then I will take this opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what has happened to this room straight from him.
That was once on TV.
Detective Gumshoe is rather shocked that this is said it's huge compared to his own.
Anything you compare with something he owns is always grandiose.
Speaking of grandiose, I say that ego of yours could use a little deflating. Earlier, you were here in Lobby 1, and now you're in Lobby 2. You're quite the busy man, Detective. Multiple returns to a crime scene brings about success. That's what would detectives say. I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I asked about what happened again, correct? I don't have anything left to say to you, boy. Boy, you'll see I will draw my answer from you one way or another.
Did it kill you to see even a little bit from my investigation?
I gave Faraday's notebook to the judge earlier. That helped enough, don't you think? Please, we are asking you just for a bit more of your cooperation. Don't push me, kid. I'd like to ask once again about what happened around the time of the murder. I refuse to answer. Any more investigating you do would be a waste of time. Besides, how am I supposed to answer questions about things I don't know about?
Things you don't know about? Aren't you supposed to know everything?
He should. Wait, is it possible? Maybe he doesn't know about the trick behind a piece of evidence. I should try showing it to him. They prove him to be the key to getting some answers from Detective Bad. Actually, yeah, you got a point. I don't think he knows about the knife. Detective Bad, did you know of this existence of the item in this photograph? Of course I did. It's my job to know everything related to the Yatagarasu case. In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know that the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and the Yatagarasu Sea are one and the same? What? That's impossible!
It looks like you didn't know either.
This piece of evidence, which we call the Yatagarasu key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. Mr. Faraday was planning to use this Yatagarasu key to prove that Mr. Rail was not the real Yatagarasu. Isn't that correct? I guess so. However, Mr. Faraday had no idea that it was in fact the knife. Yeah, I have to admit, neither one of us knew that fact. And if neither one of us knew, then no one in law enforcement knew either. How did we miss something as big as this? I noticed that since a little while ago, you appear to be searching for something. I presume that this key is what you're searching for? Yeah, that's right. And why were you searching for it? Because I promised Faraday. I promised that I'd protect that key with my life. But after all, he was killed, the key disappeared from evidence bag. Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life? That's the bad. So that we may find the truth, please testify for me once more. Alright. But it doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened, nothing changed. Alright, good. We can actually go further now. Detective Bad, I ask that you please testify once more about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1. My answer is still the same. And this is the last time I'm going to tell you. That's fine, because I only need one last time to clear everything up and find the truth behind this case. I was in lobby number 1 talking with Miss Yu. We were talking about some trivial things. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed down into the hallway together. I heard Gumshoe goofing around here, and then we all ran into number 2.
It sounds like the exact same story that he told us before.
Indeed. However, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information we can. I think it's this one we have to talk about.
Hold it!
Until you heard the gunshot, did you not notice anything else was out of the ordinary? I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot. Gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder. That would give the other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask that you please amend your testimony with that statement just now. Sure. Oh, the balloon.
Objection!
Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything? It's the same color as the one Kay was holding.
Oh? So you know about the girl's balloon?
Yeah, I was sitting with her up in the gallery. During the recess, just before we split up, I filled that balloon up for her. Well, as you may have summarized, this piece did indeed come from the balloon. So, what about that balloon? I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some time. What are you getting about? This fragment was found in the hallway right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the same sound of the balloon popping that the judge mistook for a gunshot. Oh, so the sound that the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh?
On top of that, His honor said when he heard the balloon pop. 20 minutes before the trial was about to reconvene.
Yes, which means that his honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway. And you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad. And if you were in lobby number 1 at the time, you were close enough that you should have heard the balloon popping as well. So? What? Don't give me a so!
We just proved that there's a flaw in your testimony.
The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivete cracking. And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think that the doors and the walls of the place seem so rugged? That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked.
What is that supposed to mean?
The door and walls are super thick. The window pans are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of special sound absorbing material. And you mean... Since I was shut up inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard this.
Hey, yeah, there's a big problem here now. Because if we could not have heard the balloon, how could we have heard the gunshot?
Yeah, you're right about that, Jolene. The way to describe it is basically these places are soundproof, which means there shouldn't have even been heard a gunshot. I knew that he was going to say.
Then that means that the scruff-based testimony is completely useless. The rooms are soundproof. Then of course you wouldn't have heard the struggle, so...
Ugh! That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now, do you get it, kids?
Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic. Not the other way around.
The other way around? It's not possible to hear the sound of the balloon popping if they were lobby number 1. However, if we examine the situation in reverse, a person standing in the hallway should not have been able to hear the real gunshot either. Yet the Detective Glimshoe claimed to heard it while he was standing in the hallway. It's not that bad. If that's the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot? What do you mean? How? I just did. It would appear that you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words. Oh? How so? If the rooms are soundproof as you say they are, then how did you hear the sound of the gunshot into your ears? I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I had thought. Which means what
exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to?
It boils down to this. There must be a reason as to how Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard a gunshot they theoretically couldn't have.
It looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again.
State of the crime scene? Wait, can it be? It's the ultra-strong perfume you wear. She spilled some of it. Ugh. And way too noisy.
The surveillance video? How can a piece of evidence just disappear like that? Where did it go?
Okay, so... opening up the window to let out the air. It's simply not possible for the killer to have escaped through the barred windows. And yet, the fragrance of the perfume managed to escape the defendant lobby number 1. Of course, incorporeal things can move freely through the open barred windows. Wait. Very loud TV and noise. Now then, what else besides smell can go in and out of an open barred window? The answer is sound. So no matter how carefully the killer was, if the windows were open, the jig would be up. And since the windows in both the defendant and the one in the hallway are open, that explains how the sound of a gunshot could be heard in both locations. The missing piece of evidence is a video that shows the moment in which Mr. Rowe killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. The evidence should have returned to Mr. Faraday's bag for the recess and brought back here. If it disappeared after the time, then it's possible that the tape is still here in this room. Eureka! The evidence that was missing in the evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place.
Miles, what have you been thinking about? Stop wasting time thinking, and let's start looking again.
It's not the waste of time to think, for I have figured out where we should look.
And where was that then?
I believe we should examine the television. The TV. Well, you kids have fun. Go ahead and examine whatever you like. Video player, and there seems to be a videotape inside.
It looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when I reached the end.
This tape, could it not be the missing surveillance tape?
I suppose, but...
Detective Bad, would it be alright with you if we verify the contents of the video? Sure, knock yourself out.
Alright, then let's rewind this and see what we have.
If I remember correctly, the footage of Rel killing the embassy staff member should be at about 30-minute mark from the start of the tape. Understood. This should be about right. Now let's see.
This is the first Mr. Rose shooting the embassy member staff.
I knew it! The missing piece of evidence, the surveillance video, was here all along. This sound. What's the meaning of this? It appears that Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, I think we can figure out the trick behind the double murder.
Do you mean that you figured it all out then?
Yes, all I have to do now is show what the gunshot Detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from.
Right. In that case, show me what you deduced.
This says was spilled. Is it the piece of evidence should? Yeah, that's where.
Eureka!
If the door and the windowsill, windows of the crime scene, mainly this room that we're in, were closed, the killer could have used the gun and no one would have been the wiser.
That's true. This courthouse does seem to be well designed for such a thing, as it were.
However, what happened in reality was the Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu, all three of them heard the gunshot.
Well, the windows in lobby number 1, 2, and the hallway were open. So naturally, the people in those locations could have heard it.
Ah, but then why would the criminal open the window in the first place?
To allow the gunshot to be heard, I heard.
Correct. That's the only logical conclusion we could draw from this.
But why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction.
Very well, I believe that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of certain fact. What does the killer want to manipulate? When the murder took place. The killer wanted to fabricate the time of death to the precise wishes. And they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so.
So that's why the tape was left running.
You mean the gunshot I heard was from this video? Yes, which means that the murders really occurred at an earlier time than we thought. Must have been during the recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on guard duty. Someone who has no alibi for that time period and planned this crime out in advance. That person is the real killer. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, what is it? Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says that she identified the murderer, but that she wanted to clarify something. Looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something. Understood. Please tell her that I will be right over. I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say. It would appear that the time has come to uncover the truth. We're ending this today.
Yeah, I can't keep coming back every day just to play your assistant. If Francesca appears in the next one, you're playing her yourself. Cause I got stuff to do. I already took care of most of you. So yeah, I got it.
Don't worry, next one, y'all be doing it by self. I don't need your help of all things. Because it's basically like just drinking a poison chalice.
No, a poison chalice would be you just playing nothing but JRPGs, which honestly would sound funny, because I can see you bored out of your mind and basically just rushing all over the place.
Okay, what are you doing here? Oh, hello, mister. I'm still investigating, but the object you're looking for is already... Okay, don't mind him. Please continue with your investigation. Okay, you got it. Detective Bad, haven't we already found what you were looking for? If it means I can keep her in the dark just a little longer, any little task will do.
Oh, you're more sympathetic than I thought.
I've been waiting for you, Edgeworth. I've also been waiting for the moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. The moment in which we can lay this case to rest? Wasn't that when we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest? I think we more than solved the case already. Don't you?
We'll see. It all depends on whether your logic holds up or not.
Oh, I see we have a viewer in the gallery, and why even Mr. Bad is here.
A viewer in the gallery? I'm only just a bystander.
I have a duty to see this case through to the end. No matter how it turns out. Oh, is that right? Anyway, I thought you might like to hear something I slaved away to find out. I'm taking statements of every single person's movements during the time where our suspect was in the hallway. I have also confirmed that there is no possible route of escape from lobby number 2. Therefore, the killer must without a doubt be Detective Gumshoe. And that's all you have? Yeah, that's all there is to my conclusion in this case. Sorry, but I beg to differ. In a trial, there's always time for rebuttal, and we are standing in a court of law. I'd be more than happy to appropriate the follow rules the court in this case, don't you think? Absolutely like a rookie to think such a thing. But alright, I'll play along and give you a proper testimony. My logic is correct and I've already won. All I have to do is now prove it by showing who the real killer is. Everybody says the suspect has an alibi for when the gun got off. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have been thoroughly investigated, right? I've also confirmed that there's no possible escape route from lobby number 2, which leads us to one unshakable conclusion that the gumshoe is the killer. Whew. Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth. But of course, there is no need to confront her logic head-on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump card she has up her sleeve.
Hold it!
The suspect? But I thought Detective Gumshoe's alibi has already been proven. Are you joking, Edgeworth? I assure you this is no joke. Look, I know you heard from the judge earlier. The detective was in the hallway from Mr. Faraday's daughter eating a Swiss roll. Yes, that is correct. But I see, that was 20 minutes before the real gun went off. And the problem here is that there's no one else who can corroborate since they was both snacking. She's done her research as well, which means that I should focus on drawing out whatever trump card she has been holding.
Hold it!
Whether they have been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide. The scrunch eyebrows and the line on your forehead are back. Anyway, even if you believe it, it hasn't been exhaustive. The crime scene in lobby number 2 has no way other than the hallway that Gumshoe was standing in. And because he claimed to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect. But isn't it also possible that someone escaped through a window in the garden? That's the first place everyone looks silly. The police aren't a bunch of lazy bums. They looked every possible possibility, you know. Isn't that right, Mr. Man? Yeah. There wasn't a scrap of evidence to suggest someone used one of the windows. There's also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard garden. I suppose they really did check everything that could have been relevant to the case. I was confirmed there's no possible escape route.
Hold it!
Are you absolutely positive there are no possible escape routes? Hey, welcome in, YTC. I think Jolene's getting sick to death of playing it.
I'm sick to death of playing your assistant. At this point, I can actually do a better job investigating than you can.
Oh, really? Let me guess, you want to take over my streams now? Or should I just, I don't know, bring a rat out?
Don't you fucking care.
Oh. I don't know. I'm pretty sure a few rats would like to see you.
Say rat one more goddamn time, and you're not gonna like what happens.
Fine, fine. I don't know. Maybe I should just... Nah, I think I don't have to push it. Just don't worry about that, chat. It's not anything. Don't worry, I'm not a rat.
Just a second.
Hey, wait, what are you... All right, I'm here.
Here. Here. This is my stream now. If you're wondering what happened to him, don't worry. We'll be done with this whole stream is over. All I gotta tell you is this one thing. Don't bring up rats. Over. Oh, I think you want Joruis. I don't do that, Joe. Just deal with facts. And the fact is, right now, I'm fairly certain he doesn't like the idea of like 10 million gallons of pressure standing on his head right now. But I guess I can oblige with a dad joke. After all, who am I to judge what someone thinks is funny or not? Wait, is that how I do it? That's a dad joke? I don't know. I don't really make those jokes. Oh, we got another person here. Oh, if you're wondering what happened to Joruis, right now, I gotta put him in a black hole for saying a certain vermin too many times. So, for me, I'm taking over. Don't worry, it's just a little punishment. After all, it's only gonna be like 5 minutes for you guys, 5 hours for him. So, I guess I have to play the axe now. This is the courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. And if there was an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. It's just common sense. Miles Edward, What do you mean gatekeeper? Oh, if you're talking about his time wife, yeah, she's not gonna jump in. This is something she doesn't want to be spoiled in. I know that. Also, I don't know what other person you can bring in. Because there's no one that can defeat me. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest that you use a bit more of it in the future. That's right. Whip him.
Hold it!
You may think you're unshakable, but to me, there are still too many unanswered questions. My daughter? Wait, you're not thinking of threatening my daughter, are you? I do have a little pet that might find you delicious if you are. Anyway, you may think it's unshakable, but to me, there are still too many unanswered questions. For example, hang on. 2 more minutes and I'll bring him back. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand? You're the only one who's still wondering. Captain Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used the right with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't mean you know which hand they write with or not. I mean, I certainly don't care about that sort of thing. Not about to let her rise out of me with a ripping statement. I suppose we've reached the end now. I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is ready to play it. Alright. Hang on. Bring him back. It makes it easy for a second.
I have been trapped in that black hole for 5 hours!
Then don't say radar on me anymore.
Alright, I swear to God, when this is all over, I'm about to throw you inside the nearest volcano, you hear me? Got the waterboard there. What are you talking about? Wait. How long was it for you guys? Because I was stuck in there for hours. Oh my god. What did she do during that time? Chat, tell me right now. What the hell did Jolene do right now? 5 minutes? Okay, even she can't do that much damage in 5 minutes. Wait, this is Jolene we're talking about. Alright, Jolene, what the hell did you do?
Oh, all I did was one simple thing. Your job.
That's it?
I mean, I was throwing you back in that hole, if you know what I mean.
Just went through a small portion of the game? Okay, thank God. As long as she didn't do anything crazy. Like, try to, like, take over this world in 5 minutes or something. Anyway, I should probably get back to what I was playing as. You almost said... critic... or, Jolene, you want to tell him or should I?
Oh no, let's put them together. Alright.
That's a fake spell! Yeah, that was from a movie. That's not a real spell. I mean, that's an awesome movie, especially Evil Dead, like Army of Darkness, but that's a fake spell. Explain the zombie following you. There are one or two possibilities. One, you smell like beef. Or two, it's Florida.
When it's Florida here, so this is Ohio.
Actually, to be fair, Ohio's just as bad too. Anyway, you said earlier that you were confirming the alibis of every person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall Francesca or myself speaking with you about the subject. Ah, but there were witnesses. For you, there is your mentor who gave you an alibi. I see. As for the little Missy, she came to the courthouse during the recess and was stopped by a security guard at the door at the hallway. She gave him quite a whipping for that, or so I heard.
But I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma. And I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard, a bailiff, or anyone else.
Wait, so basically the only reason Francesca bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be the replacement prosecutor? By the way, Miss Yu, what about everyone's alibi before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty? What about them? Have you looked into what people were doing during the span of time? What kind of idiot do you take me for? Doesn't matter when the killer went into the lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot, to the time Mr. Bat and I arrived on the scene, we dashed from lobby number 1. The only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe. Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bat heard the gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, then Detective Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime had occurred at an entirely different time than when the gunshots were heard? What then? The gunshot was a trap meant to manipulate our perception of what's... Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1 could explain how we could have fabricated it.
Take that!
The tape? Yeah, it's exactly what you think it is. This is the surveillance tape that Mr. Rell and the prosecution presented in today's trial. Then we found loaded in the lobby player of lobby number 2. That was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way up. You can't honestly mean that the sound we heard was the gunshot. Oh, but I do. Which leads me to the next point. The murders occurred much earlier than when anybody heard the gunshot. That's the only thing I could think of, too. After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out of Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television volume all the way up, and let the video play. It played from the beginning. It would take 30 minutes for the gunshot to come on. And since we know that this method of time manipulation is possible, it opened up the possibility that the killer is somebody other than Detective Gumshoe.
Objection!
Sounds from a TV doesn't amount to much here. But of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and Little Miss Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right?
Of course we knew. Didn't we, Miles?
Yes, of course. We know about the soundproof quality of the courthouse rooms. Of course, I'm not about to admit we had no idea until only a little while ago. That's right, and if the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear it. And yet, we heard the gunshots clear as day. And? Well, that's it. End of story. But it's not. How should I explain that she was able to hear the gunshot? Windows were open. There was actually one common point between lobby number 1 and 2. And it is despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioner installed, a window was open in each. I swear to God. We don't do that shit here. Yeah, because I don't want to buy any viewers. I want to actually earn my viewers. Now we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also open.
Objection!
Probably just coincidence that we're both open at the same time.
Objection!
It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why is the window open in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be open. And that person who triggered the action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in the double murder is...
Take that!
Miss Callister, you. I hereby formally indict you of the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell. You indict me?
Are you serious, Miles? What do you think she's the killer?
I don't understand the motives just yet, but of course I'm serious, because she's the only one who could have done it. Well, Miss Yu, do you still feel like laughing now? Of course I do, Edgeworth. Argument must not have tied enough. Although I never thought things would spiral into this, but I'll have you know I'm enjoying this dance quite a bit. I guess that means it's time for my own rebuttal now. You argue that the window was open, however, do you have proof that it was I who did it? Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this, especially with logic as full of holes as yours. This is where it really starts. I mustn't let my guard down for even a second or the truth will be blown away. Now it's time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test.
Hold it!
Evidence? All I need to do is have some prints analyzed and know straight away. Be my guest. She sounds as though she has the room to maneuver. Which means, even if we were able to lift prints, they only show that it was somebody else, but why that somebody else would be forced to open the window? That's simple logic. Why don't I try presenting that piece of evidence? I have nothing to lose. Yes, I'll be fine. Well, that's the case. I'll have to continue with my testimony. Oh, that's simple.
Hold it!
Wait, I didn't mean to do that. I keep hitting the same button over and over again. That's on me. sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu? Edgeworth, I never knew you were wearing that kind of perfume. It's not exactly that I recommend for boys, you know. What? This wasn't mine.
It's right. It's mine. And I received it from Detective Badge, you see.
Miss Yu, you can pretend all you like, but we know that at least this much for sure. That you are the one who gave this bottle of perfume to Detective Bad. And you're super easy to rile up. So, what about the perfume? While you were in lobby number 1, you made a big show of spilling some of this perfume. That, according to Detective Bad... Oh, I know. You also knew that if he spilled it, he would naturally move to open a window.
Objection!
Oh, come on. I've already told you that it's just a big coincidence. After we opened the window in lobby number 1, I just left it open, you know. So maybe it was just dumb luck that we heard the gunshot through the window.
Objection!
The timing of when you were going to spill the perfume is something you could control. And the most important fact about this case is when people were made to hear the gunshot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time. You mean... Yes, you were the one who called Detective Bad into the lobby number 1. And when you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway, is that correct? All today's predicaments events could have been through you, Detective Miss Yu. You accused me of the murder on the fact that I spilled a little perfume. Well, allow me to say this much. I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. Would you care to testify as to why? Look, I've had a lot of fun today, really. But I grew weary of this game of cat and mouse. Let's make this the last testimony and wrap this absurd case up once and for all. Accusing someone of murder over a spilled bottle of perfume is a bit over the top. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma. In any case, simple could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from.
Miles, her testimony is flawless.
Yes, but no matter what sort of trickery she may try to pull, she won't escape. And if I'm lacking in information, I'll just draw it out of her.
Hold it!
At this rate, she will inevitably escape. But if she really was the one who killed Mr. Faraday, she must have known about the existence of the knife. I'm sorry, Miss Yu. Maybe you weren't aware. However, the knife that you used to kill Mr. Faraday was taken from his evidence bag.
Miles, what do you think you're doing?
I'm drawing the truth out of her, that's what I'm doing. Huh? But I don't recall a knife being presented at the trial earlier today. Well, I suppose that's because the evidence was something Mr. Faraday had yet to use. So that's what you're trying to do? Look, why don't you cut it out with the lies? I've already figured you out. There was no knife inside Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. The only evidence he had yet to produce was the key. And unless a key can magnificently turn into a knife, you really don't have a leg to stand on. There it is! I never intended to do such a thing. It was all the misunderstanding of my part. In any case, I wonder if you might append what you just said in your testimony. You fool! You activated my trap card!
Objection!
Miss Yu, I wondered if you might take a look at this photo for me. This is a picture of the key that Yazura sent to the police. However, while it may look like a key at first glance, it is in fact the secret ability to turn into a knife. Which means that what was inside Mr. Faraday's bag was both the Yazura key and the murderous knife. You knew that the key was inside Mr. Faraday's bag, did you not? Yes. Well, with the Yazura key alone, it's more than possible to kill Mr. Faraday. Do you understand now, just knowing the existence of the Yazura?
Objection!
I still haven't had a good look at it. Showing it to me that far away, you could be lying for all you know. You would, even now, still feign your ignorance? I'm not feigning everything. But we couldn't be accusing a crime with false evidence now, can we? I mean, Mr. Von Karma, I've heard some very interesting rumors about him.
Are you looking much?
Don't you dare sully the good name of my mentor. Now take a good look. This piece of evidence once more than real. Wow, who knew that there was such a trick to this thing? Are you satisfied now? But of course, you knew that from the very beginning, didn't you? You knew that the knife and the Yatagarasu key are one and the same. Otherwise, someone like you who wasn't a member of the law enforcement and who would never have been privy to the trick would have never known about it to begin with. Furthermore, there's something that the Yatagarasu sent to the police. How did you have knowledge of what it was? Actually, I heard it from Mr. Faraday. Just before he dragged Mr. Rell off, he told me. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot. He also told me about the key turning into a knife at the time. But he didn't tell me about how the key is actually transformed.
Objection!
What are you saying is simply not possible? Oh, and why not? Because Mr. Faraday himself didn't know about the hidden knife from within the key. From within these pages, he mentions nothing about the knife.
Objection!
I'm not so sure he would have written everything in his organizer, you know? Wouldn't something of this importance be better left to a royal community?
Objection!
Unfortunately, that's also impossible, because Detective Bad didn't know about the knife aspect either! What would have been highly classified information, even within the police force, and it's something that even the lead detective on the case didn't know. Why would Mr. Faraday have felt the need to share such information with the opposition? Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have much of a reason to. Looks like he gave a pretty lame excuse. Huh. How can you laugh at a time like this?
She probably just really the flaw in her logic, and is actually to panic over it. But that's not something we can concern ourselves over now.
I suppose you're right. Well, Miss Yu, I'd like to state that I also know how you know the real nature of the knife. Do you know? Well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and show me? Oh, I will, and I'll wipe that smile off the face by the time we're through. Said the moment of truth, the secret behind the Yatagarasu key. Only one person could have known knowledge of the from the get-go. Who would know from the start of the Yatagarasu key returned to the key? Well, the Yatagarasu.
Take that!
There's only one person who would have known about the dual nature of the key. And that is the person who sent the Yatagarasu key to the police. It's to say the Yatagarasu herself.
Are you saying that this lawyer is the great thief Yatagarasu?
Miss Yu, you used Mr. Rell to lure Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? You who profess to bear a grudge against criminals, why? Why would you do something like this? Oh, she's losing it. Who would have thought that you, a stupid rookie prosecutor, would see through me? You're sending the biggest chill down my spine right now, Edgeworth. This feeling a thrill. It's even greater than when I sneak into some place. You killed Faraday? Why? Answer me, Calestio, you. Callisto New. Huh, that's not my real name. Because my real identity is, yes, the great thief Yatagarasu. Let me tell you something, Edgeworth. Mr. Faraday was one difficult man to deal with. For you see, he had discovered my true identity. Which is why I had to erase him from the world of law. I made Rell an offer, and a quill for a little favor in return. All you had to do was accuse Mr. Faraday of being the Yatagarasu in court. But once we entered the recess, Rell was dragged off by Mr. Faraday, which threw my plan into a complete mess. I chased after them and eavesdropped on them through the crack of the door. Then rail caves and only two things. Money and authority, just as all thugs do. I feared my plan was going to be ruined if Mr. Faraday held on to Rel any longer. Plus, if I had let them continue on the way, that would have been found out. That's why I had no choice. I had to kill them both. But didn't you say you despise criminals? But do I really? Have you forgotten about the KG8 incident too? Maybe.
What sort of woman would?
So then, was it your plan to kill Mr. Faraday with the very evidence that you sent? Well, I had a good idea of what Mr. Faraday was going to do. I anticipated that Mr. Faraday was going to prove that Rel wasn't the real Yatagarasu by using the Yatagarasu key as evidence, and that he would bring it with him. Which is why I thought to use the knife portion. With a weapon as well disguised as this, no one would be the wiser. Besides, who in their right mind would think of something like this could be used as a weapon? I casually entered lobby number 2 with a pretext that I had to talk to Mr. Faraday, and in order to get it with him, I pretended to be worried about something. He then let me hold to the Yatagarasu key just like that. He never noticed that I had changed the key into a knife in a plastic bag. And he didn't have the chance to take note of the knife that took his life. How could you kill him? I knew him for a long time, you know. At the very least, I thought to give him a quick and painless death. But if you killed Mr. Faraday first, there was no need for you to kill Mr. Rel as well. I believe I mentioned it when we were pacing Detective Gumshoe under arrest. Something about having accidentally created an eyewitness, and how that led to a killer to think about setting them up, though they killed each other. And the trick, the surveillance tape. Yes, I hadn't planned to use a gun. The risk was too high to be caught. However, that's when I remembered the existence of the surveillance tape, which is why I had Rel help me set up the crime scene. And after all that was done, I rewarded him with all his hard work with footballing. You're a defense attorney, aren't you? How could you betray a client? Client? If you want to talk about who was a client of who's first, it was me. I was the client in the murder of the Copenhagen embassy staff. Man, that is a bad name. You ordered a hit job? You still haven't figured it out, Mr. Bad. I had Diedman killed because he was about to give away info about the smuggling ring. Now, who exactly do you think would benefit from such an assassination? It can't be. You're... That's right. I'm a member of the smuggling ring. How could this? You don't mean you're working with Man Konakin, do you? Maybe, maybe not. I guess you'll never know.
The Yatagarasu claims to be noble, but you're just another broke-headed neighbor.
That's right, little girl. Yatagarasu is just another killer. Be quiet, you. Yazura, you can run from the law, but you'll never escape it. So just humbly accept the judgment of this court. Hey, Edgeworth. Did you know the Yatagarasu has 3 legs? Do you know why is that? Huh? No? Well, let me tell you. It means that the Yatagarasu has more than one razor-sharp way to do her work. You really are too naive, Edgeworth. You can't even handle the Yatagarasu's key right to me without a second thought. Everything may not have gone according to plan, but I'll still gladly take it. You mean the key was your real target? And even after I gave you such a great advice, didn't I tell you always keep a good eye on a criminal? Or you may regret what comes with your negligence? You two, get down! My body! Why can't I move? Hey, mister, to your right! You! Are you all right, Francesca?
I'm perfectly fine, Mile.
Her voice is shaking, but it looks like she's unharmed. Hmm? Where did Kay go? A gunshot. Sorry, but it looks like she got away. I called a precinct. They should have a perimeter set up as soon as possible. Detective Bad, are you alright? I heard a gunshot. I'm okay. Just got another hole in my jacket. I may say he's fine, but he looks quite shaken. But more importantly, boy, I mean, Mr. Edgeworth, Miss Von Karma, are you two hurt?
I'm absolutely fine.
I'm also alright, thanks to Kay. Speaking of Kay, where is she? I don't know. She just sort of disappeared. I'll go look for her. Oh, and, hey, Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir? Detective Bass, sir? I'm sorry I doubted you. Don't worry, sir. It's not your fault. Well, I lied to you guys after all. I heard about what happened from Kay. Lying while giving testimony is still unforgivable. But in this case, you were protecting Kay and her feelings. Looks like you just might have what it takes to be a real detective after all. Now, don't you ever lose that detective spirit, okay?
Pops, you watch one too many detective dramas, haven't you?
Way to single-handedly destroy the cheery atmosphere with that one snarky comment. I should get back to the investigation. And I swear I'll catch you if it's the last thing I do. Be careful, Detective Bad, and take care. Thanks. Well, I'm off. Maybe we'll run into each other again. Yeah. Thanks a bunch, pal. You're the best. You really did find out the truth behind everything. Yeah, well, I'm glad we solved everything before you were taken to prison. Oof. I can't believe how much trouble I caused you with my testimony, Detective Gumshoe. It's no problem, really. I mean, I lied too, so it didn't help. And really, it's not your fault, Your Honor.
Well, even if we didn't have his honest testimony, I think that the lawyer would have found another way to get you convicted on our behalf.
Yeah, I can't believe I was about to get fired during my first week as detective. Well, so long as you're not fired. You should work hard, give all you have, and perform your duties well. Oh, and one more thing. He left the present for you with me. She did? Oh, what is it? I believe it's... Oh.
Take that!
It's the courthouse Swiss roll. Can I really have it? Yes, it's a present meant for you after all. Oh, thanks a bunch. You have no idea how happy this makes me, pal. I'm gonna eat this right now. Sure, go ahead. Swiss roll Detective Gumshoe K brought together. Well, the ones say K saved never reached her father. It would appear that her sentiments have touched the heart of this detective. He's so
happy. It's as though he's just having a welcome back celebration of his own.
Well, I was asked by Kay to give it to him after all. Whoop! That was good, pal. Can't believe I got to eat 2 of these delicious things in one day. It's like I'm in Swiss roll paradise or something. I gotta thank Kay myself. Hey, wait, where is she? He's only just noticed now. What's his mind not present when we discussed her earlier? Dr. Bad left to go search for her earlier. Maybe you should go join him. You betcha, pal. I'm gonna go help him out. Oh, but first, you know what, pal? Actually, I guess I shouldn't be rude to you anymore, huh? I'm gonna stick right by his side from now on, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. I sense nothing but a most troublesome relationship from that ominous statement.
We should go home too, Ma. We have to hurry or remember what happened to Papa.
Agreed. Well, I'm afraid we must get going now, Detective. Roger, sir. And don't you worry. I'll investigate the next case we're on real well. I'll, be counting on you. The sense of trouble is definitely in the air. Thus, like a bad dream, my first outing at court came to a disturbing end. A few months later, I was finally able to properly stand in court as a prosecutor. But the detective in charge of the investigation was, as I dreaded, Detective Gumshoe. After that, he became my direct subordinate. I have tried, but words fail to describe the immeasurable suffering he has caused me. But I suppose that's just how things are. As for the little girl who suddenly disappeared, she's now... So, do you remember now? Yes, I remember everything. Kay, it's been a while. Kay? You sure grew a lot. Of course, but thank goodness I thought you two had totally forgotten about me. You know, I was really worried about you after all that. Where have you been all this time? Gummy, I didn't know you cared. After my father died, I went to go live with my mother's relatives. Then I lived really far away, so I really wasn't able to come back. All that much.
I don't think you need me anymore. So I think I'll take my leave. And next chapter, you're on your own. And remember next time, don't bring up the vermin, or I will put you back in that hole. Later.
Looks like Jolene's gone for now. But looks like I'm gonna have to be by myself for the next chapter, so we're gonna have to keep going. Oh, is that what happened? Well, I'm just glad you're alright. So, does that all make sense now? You betcha it does. Oh, you know what? I was going through my father's bookshelves recently, and...
Hold it!
Actually, there are still a number of things that don't make sense, Kay. Huh? First of all, why did you come all the way to see me? Second, why are you calling yourself the Yatagarasu? Yatagarasu is callous to you, the woman who killed your father. No, you're wrong. The real Yatagarasu was my father. Mr. Faraday was the Yatagarasu? Like I said, I was going through my father's bookshelf recently and I found a secret diary hidden among his books. I have no regrets in choosing to walk the path of the Yatagarasu. That was written in his diary, and that's how I know for sure. But that's impossible. What's with that look? You don't believe me? It wasn't just the expression on my face. I clearly said it was impossible just now. Alright then, how do you explain this? It's a way of disarming any security system of the user's choosing. Yep, that's Little Thief. Truth be told, this is the Yatagarasu's greatest secret. And this little gizmo was used by my father. Wow, Mr. Faraday wasn't just a great prosecutor, he really was a great thief, huh? Yeah, my father worked really hard to steal the truth. But he was killed, and the Yatagarasu was no more. But despite that, the Yatagarasu has been spotted again recently. Someone other than you. Here, Mr. Edgeworth. Take a look at this article. Yatagarasu sent the embassy a calling card? Yeah, meaning the person's a fake. I'm almost certain that Callister Yule lady is behind it. Because the real Yatagarasu would have never sent anything like a gaudy card out. But the Yatagarasu did send a white card along with anything to be publicized. That's what the Detective Bad told me 7 years ago, if memory serves. Well, as soon as I heard the news, I got all wound up and I knew I couldn't just let it go. So I searched you out so that I could obtain the truth behind the Yatagarasu. Because if anybody can help me find it, I figured it's you, Mr. Edgeworth. So you're saying that I have your father and use identities backwards? Yep, because the real Yatagarasu is noble to the end. And I want to revive the real noble Yatagarasu. If I don't, my father will never be able to rest in peace. Kay. Kay, you're so honorable. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'll always cheer to cheer you on, pal. Even if you are honorable, a thief's a thief. And if you are planning to commit a crime, then I'm afraid I can't be complicit. Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, you guys are not making it easy for me. Who am I supposed to support now? Mr. Edgeworth, what I want from you is not to steal something. What I want is the arrest of the evil woman. That evil woman? You mean Callisto you? I think it's too hard for me to catch her all by myself. But I thought that since you were able to expose her for who she is, then maybe. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, won't you help me? Come to think of it, I do believe I owe you. Huh? Owe me for what? When Miss Yu made her escape, it was you who saved my life. Furthermore, you helped me with the investigation today. I am not so rude as to leave favors unrepaid. Then you mean, yeah. The case has been weighing down my soul ever since that fateful day. Perhaps the time has come to settle things once and for all. And if you don't intend to sully your hands in a crime, then I believe I can help you. Mr. Edgeworth, thank you. Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Isn't that great, Kay? Yeah, sure is, Gummy. Even though he had completely forgotten about her until just now. Ugh, what is with their chummy relationship? The great thief Yatagarasu. After all that time, the true identity of the thief sank back into the darkness. Brian Faraday, Callisto Yule, and Kay Faraday. The phantom-markedly changing identity of the great Yatagarasu. And the Yatagarasu's real goal. It would all come to light the day after I met that promise to Kay. And with that, we end today's chapter. And with that, it is time to end it. For today. Which means it's time to make a little trip to somebody else. Even if it is just me. So, we're gonna go right into Dr. Soulmorphus. And I will see you all next time. If I make sure it rolls. Yep, it rolls. I will see you all next time. Take care.